From Royal Communications Incorporated, good evening and welcome to King's Newsroom, a 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Today is Monday, July 7, 2025, and I'm Newton Tokbar presenting. Stories we're following this evening. Much publicized July 17 protest gets more endorsements as concerned civil society organizations declare support accused the government of Liberia of mismanagement of public resources and organized corruption schemes. Over 35 towns and villages in Grand Cape County accused B Mountain Mining Company of willfully contaminating the Marfa River with mercury and other harmful chemicals. The local lead councillor Arthur Johnson demands 100 million United States dollars in damages. U.S. government restores 1.8 billion agreement signed between Liberian government and Ivanhoe Atlantic, describes it as a significant milestone for economic development and infrastructure expansion. Away from Liberia, at least 10 people have been killed in protests, according to state-run human rights body, the latest in a wave of anti-government rallies that began last year. US President Donald Trump has warned that countries which side with policies of the brass alliance that go against US interests will be hit with an extra 10% tariff. These plus the news bulletin, our international developments, and all package. But we'll take a very short break to be right back. At this juncture, of course, over to Stephen Compton with the news bulletin.
A coalition of civil society organizations operating under the banner Concerned Civil Society Organizations has formally endorsed the upcoming Enough is Enough protest scheduled for July 17. The pending July 17 protest is being organized by schools of Liberians in collaboration with Solidarity and Trust for a New Day. Speaking during a press conference on Monday in District 10, Darlington Barkley, Executive Director of Youth for Positive Change, said the endorsement stems from growing concerns over poor governance and worsening economic conditions under the current Unity Party-led government. Barkley emphasized that ordinary Liberians are facing severe hardship, which he attributed to mismanagement and misuse of public resources by urgent challenges for action. In response, stand Chairman Moba Molu welcomed the endorsement, commending the civil society groups for standing with the Liberian people. He also used the occasion to criticize the government's National Reconciliation Initiative, terming it as a symbolic gesture lacking real impact. Molu described the reconciliation's effort as a mockery to Liberians, arguing that genuine reconciliation must be inclusive, actionable, and free from political showmanship. About 35 towns and villages along the Marfa River in Grand Cape County have expressed dissatisfaction over the alleged use of mercury and other chemicals in the Marfa River by B Mountain, which appears to be a source of safe drinking water for residents of the area. Addressing the press conference Friday, the lead counsel of the affected communities, Councillor Arthur Johnson, said the alleged use of chemicals have allegedly led to loss of lives, noting that it has also destroyed livestock, farms, gardens of people who survive on subsistence farming of the area. Councillor Johnson said he has written President Joseph Boyka, and if nothing is done to address the issue, he will file a lawsuit against the management of B Mountain at the ECOWAS Court of Human Rights, giving an ultimatum up to the end of July 31, 2025. The Liberian renowned lawyer is demanding 100 million in damages by BMMC. The US government, through its embassy near Monrovia, has applauded the 1.8 billion agreement between Avowed Atlantic and government of Liberia. Avowed Atlantic's major shareholder is Applause Incorporated, a U.S. company founded and chaired by Robert Finland, with a number of U.S. high-profile institutional and private investors as shareholders. U.S. Embassy, in its release Monday, stated that it has officially welcomed the signing of a landmark concession access agreement between U.S. renowned mining company and the government of Liberia, marking a significant milestone in the country's economic development and infrastructure expansion. According to the release, the agreement value at an estimated 1.8 billion is one of the most substantial foreign direct investment in Liberia in recent years. The embassy released further that the agreement aligns with President Joseph Boykart's national development agenda, particularly his administration's push to implement a multi-use rate policy, a strategic initiative aimed at unlocking the full potential of Liberia's natural resources through the shared infrastructure. The U.S. Embassy release emphasized that the importance of the agreement as a symbol of growing economic ties between the United States and Liberia. The U.S. Embassy reiterated its support for Liberia's commitment to transparency, good governance, and inclusive economic reform, and reaffirmed the United States' intention to serve as a long-term partner in Liberia's journey towards self-reliance. Several passengers along the River G County Highway have sustained major injuries and placed under medical treatment following a devastating accident of a vehicle. The residents that incident occurred during the early morning hours along the Jopocan Highway in River G County due to what the eyewitnesses described to be excessive speeding, loss of control by the driver. No death is reported so far. However, residents along the highway are calling for increased safety measures to prevent further incidents. Tension are rising within the Siwakan community in Sino County as residents expressed growing concerns about the implementation and transparency of the Memorandum of Understanding signed between Debt Logging Company Liberia Limited and the local communities. Though Debt Logging, a Liberian-owned enterprise, is generally welcome for its national ownership, citizens are increasingly alarmed over the individuals appointed to represent community interest in the agreement's execution. Some of the residents argue that the inclusion of former community leaders who they claim feel then on a precious logging concession is a troubling sign. In an interview with King's News, several residents reflected on their experiences during the operation of Mandri Logging Company, which had a concession in the region for several years. According to the residents, many promises outlined in the MOU has not been fulfilled, particularly critical development project, largely due to what they describe as ineffective leadership within the community forest and management and community assembly. In response to residents' concern, Debt Logging Company General Manager Nathaniel Knight told King News that the company remains fully committed to the terms outlined in the MOU. He noted that the implementation has already begun, highlighting ongoing road construction within the company's operational areas as an example of their progress. In an effort to enhance digital access and improve learning condition at the Broom County Technical College. But County Superintendent John Ekwe has the Senator John Ekwe has donated a brand new set of Starkland Wi-Fi equipment to the institution. The donation, which took place on Monday in Banga, is aimed at providing reliable internet service to both students and the college administration. Making the presentation on behalf of the Senator James Kennedy, a technician in the senator's office described the initiative as part of the senator's commitment to improving education in the county. The gesture is intended to ease the internet burden on students doing assignment, research, and other academic activities. Receiving the equipment on behalf of BCTC, Dr. Alfred Tokowa, president of the institution, extended appreciation to the senator. He described the donation as timely and significant, noting that it will help reduce the college spending on card for internet services and improve online connectivity for academic purposes. For his part, the student council president of BCTC, Alfred Collin, praised the gesture, calling it a dream come true. And President Joseph Boaika has departed Liberia for Washington, D.C. to participate in the 2025 U.S. Africa Leaders Summit. The summit, hosted by the U.S. President Donald Trump, will be held at the White House from July 7 to 11. According to an executive mansion release, President Boaika is among 5 African heads of state specially invited by President Donald Trump to attend the high-level summit. The news bulletin is back to you, Nita.
Stephen Compton with the news bulletin. The news bulletin is a regular feature on King's News Broom. What if you just joining us? A reminder, listening to King's News Broom, the 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Today is Monday, July 7, 2025, and I'm Newton to representing stories we following this evening. Much publicized July 17 protest gets more endorsements as concerned civil society organizations declare support, accuse the government of Liberia of mismanagement of public resources and organized corruption schemes. Over 35,000 villages in Grand Cape County accuse B Mountain Mining Company of willfully contaminated the Marfa River with mercury and other harmful chemicals. The local lead lawyer Councilor Arthur Johnson demands 100 million United States dollars in damages. U.S. government installs 1.8 billion agreement signed between Liberian government and that's Ivanhoe Atlantic describes it as a significant milestone for economic development and infrastructure expansion. In the way for Liberia, at least 10 people have been killed in protests, according to a state-run human rights body, the latest in a wave of anti-government rallies that began last year. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that countries which side with the policies of the Brass Alliance that go against U.S. interests will be hit with an extra 10% tariff. We'll take another break and we'll come back. We'll bring you more voices on the program. On this one, the Coalition for Civil Society Organizations operating under the banner Concerned Civil Society Organizations has formally endorsed the upcoming Enough is Enough protest scheduled for July 17. The pending July 17 protest is being organized by schools of Liberians in collaboration with the Solidarity and Trust for a New Day. Speaking during a press conference on Monday in District 10, Darlington Barkley, Executive Director of Youth for Positive Change, said the endorsement stems from growing concerns over poor governance and worsening economic conditions under the current Unity Party-led government. Barclay emphasized that ordinary Liberians are facing severe hardship, which is attributed to mismanagement and misuse of public resources by government officials.
Civil society organizations, members of the press, and the entire hardworking people of Liberia. Whether you are a student, a market vendor, a teacher, a motorcyclist, farmer, a nurse, credit officer, street seller, or daily hustler trying to survive in these troubling times. A warm greetings from the concerned civil society organization. We stand before you not as a politician, but as a concerned CSO, institution of Liberia, deeply troubled by the direction in which our country is being headed under the leadership of Mr. Walker. We recognize your pain. We hear your daily cries in the markets, on the campuses, in the ghettos, in the classroom, and on the dusty road of our communities. Liberia is hurting, and the time to speak out is now. Today, we officially and unapologetically endorse the July 17th protest and stand with the solidarity and trust for New Day, which is stand to say enough is enough. We therefore support a non-violent and constitutional stand against bad governance, rising poverty, and broken promises. This is not just a protest, it is a national awakening, a demand for accountability, and a call to real leadership.
In response, Town Chairman Moba Molu welcomed the endorsement, commending the civil society groups for standing with the Liberian people, and also used the occasion to criticize the government's National Reconciliation Initiative, labeling it as a symbolic gesture lacking real impact. Molu described the reconciliation efforts as a mockery to Liberians, arguing that genuine reconciliation must be inclusive, actionable, and free from political showmanship.
I want to say thank you to the concerned civil society institutions that have come together to declare support for this legitimate patriotic process. This July 17th protest is a protest of the masses. It is a protest, the protest of the people. That's why we've declared July 17 as a day of the people. It is that day that has been set aside for your voices to be heard, for you to rise up in righteous, indignant anger to say to Mr. Boakai, enough is enough. I felt more provoked when I listened to a declaration of the president declaring this come Saturday as the day of reconciliation. I felt more provoked, I felt teased, I felt mocked. And I believe Wakai's declaration of reconciliation is a mockery to the Liberian people because reconciliation has to be practical. It has to be pragmatic. While there might be some goodness in giving state burial or memorializing former presidents, it is even more important to memorialize 250,000 war victims. It is equally important not just to memorialize and give dignified burial to former presidents, but also to consider the dignity of 250,000 victims of war that were brutally murdered, in some cases, maimed, some raped. We believe the president's decision to memorialize presidents or former presidents while neglecting to honor or dignify or grant symbolic burial to Liberian victims of war is grossly concerning and will not keep us silent. That is why we are not just protesting on the 17th of July, but there are a series of steps that have been itemized to commemorate or leading up to the date of the protest.
His time National Chairman Moba Molu speaking. About 35,000 villages along the Marfa River in Grand Kipman County have expressed dissatisfaction over the alleged use of mercury and other chemicals in the Marfa River by Bear Mountain, which appears to be a source of safe drinking water for residents of the area. Addressing a press conference Friday, the lead counsel of the affected communities, Councillor Arthur Johnson, said the alleged use of chemicals have allegedly led to loss of lives, noting that it has also destroyed livestock, farms, gardens of people who survive on subsistence farming of the area. Councillor Johnson said he has written President Joseph Boakai, and if nothing is done to address the issue, he will file a lawsuit against the management of Bear Mountain at the ECOWAS Court of Human Rights, given an ultimatum up to the end of July 31st, 2025. We'll bring you that asset in our subsequent newscast. In an effort to enhance digital access and improving learning conditions at Bond County Technical College, Bond County Senator Johnny Boy has donated brand new set of Starlink Wi-Fi equipment to the institution. The donation, which took place on Monday in Banga, is aimed at providing reliable internet service for both students and the college administration. Making the presentation on behalf of Senator Boy, James Kennedy, a technician in Senator Boy's office, described the initiative as part of Senator Boy's commitment to improving education in the county.
Sarah sent me here now to be brief to present the Starlink gently selected a Bontempo parish as a humanitarian workshop. The fact that it means seeing there are some challenges in terms of internet connectivity from the Bontempo parish. So two humanitarian needs in the office. Sitting here to present the Starlink gently. Not only presentation on the issue is effective and connected from the Bontempo parish. As a way of having a smooth operation in both offices of students in terms of computer connectivity. And I would like to extend my thanks and appreciation to the faculty and staff of Botanical College for coming to the presentation. This is your
Receiving the equipment on behalf of BCTC, Dr. Alfredson Takawia, president of the institution, extended appreciation to Senator Boy. He described the donation as timely and significant, noting that it will help reduce the college spending on scratch cards for internet services and improve online connectivity for academic purposes.
On behalf of the Broom County Technical College, we are very grateful. We should extend our appreciation to the Senator for this gesture. This is not just a humanitarian gesture, it's professional, well supported, and we think it is timely because this is one major challenge we have had, where our students want to download information from the ground. They cannot have access to the equipped or required internet service. With this presentation, we are highly delighted. So we say thank you very much. It's very timely. We use it for the internal purpose, and we'll make sure we have it well presented to our partners in progress, or on behalf of the administration and staff. Mr. Colley, you are the newly inducted president for the students. I want to say we are presenting this for on behalf of the administration. That the senator office has given this that should be used for both administrative purposes and for the students' research purpose as well. So for and on behalf of our administration, we here welcome you to the uses of this facility. Thank you very much. Thank you. So,
For his part, the student council president of BCTC, Alfred Cody, praised the gesture, calling it a dream come true.
Let me firstly appreciate the administration of the donor. We highly appreciate. We promise to use it for intended purpose. We will assure you. We highly appreciate your effort. And let me be real, looking at the transition of our new world today, the world of technology bringing this to us, it is a plus for us. It is a proof to us that you are care about the future generation. You are care about the world of technology, so we highly appreciate you. And we, as a student community, promise to use it for the intended purpose, and we fully utilize. Thank you.
Alfred Coley is the student council president of Bond County Technical College. The executive director of the Liberia Refugee Repatriation and Resettlement Commission has completed a week-long assessment of former Ivorian refugees and Softon region. The assessment visits took the LRRC Executive Director to Grangila, Meriden, and Riverview counties to ascertain the integration of former Ivorian refugees into the Liberian society in accordance to the President's executive order. Speaking in an interview, LRRC Executive Director Jackson P. disclosed that about 269 former Ivorian refugees still needed to be issued resident permit.
We have people who were former refugees, Ivorians that came in here. Very large number of people that were here at some point in time. I understand it was around 17,000. Many of them chose to go back. And those that remain here, we still have them as our caseload. We have those that decided to locally integrate. That is to say they want to be, remain in Liberia at some point in time. We have to integrate them officially. And those that decided to be exempt, that, when the war or whatever the hostilities are in Ivory Coast succeed, they want to go back. And then we have those two different communities that we have in the Southeast that live in the PTP camp and also in the Little Whatever camp, which is in Maryland. And I mean, these are very, very, good, high-spirited individuals that I've seen. Some of them have been here for years, but still they are kind of managing, and they are happy that we gave them the protection that we gave them, and they are doing very well. And 144 was signed by His Excellency the President and gave former refugees who decide to integrate in the Liberian society the civil documentations that they require to transact business, to move about freely, and that was the executive order number 144 that was issued just the World Refugee Day that we had just a few weeks back. Our partners, the Liberian Immigration and Naturalization Services, gave us the initial batch of resident permit. I think 16 of those out to the people, to the former refugees. And we are going to continue that process, but it's going to require a lot more time, for us to be able to reach in the Southeast as well. LIS is using biometric system. So to go there, they will require funding. And we ourselves want to be a part of that when they're doing it. So feel more invigorated because what I saw in the Southeast, not only in the Southeast, starting with Ban right here in Nima County, the Ban refugee camp. We have vast land, arable land that can be utilized by farmers. And many of these Ivorians are farmers. And we have the land, we have the facilities. The buildings that were built by our partners are there, very durable structure. And what we want to do is to develop an agricultural program that will be able to cater specifically to the refugees or former refugees that are residing in these camps. Eventually, it's going to add up to our economy.
He's the executive director of LRRC, Jackson P. Yes, speaking. Several passengers along River G County Highway have sustained major injuries and placed under medical treatment following a devastating accident of their vehicles. The incident occurred during the early morning hours along the Jopoken Highway in River G County due to what eyewitnesses described to be excessive speeding and loss of control by the driver. No death is reported so far. However, residents along the area are calling for increased safety measures to prevent future accidents.
Welcome. This is an accident in taking place in Riverview County in Cyber Wifican. We want to say good afternoon and welcome to Africa Media. Good afternoon to everyone, all those who are following. This is an accident that has occurred. And then there's no death. This is a car accident in Cyber Wifican, Riverview County. And then I've been told that there's no death from this accident. But then the wounded person, then they were rushed to the hospital, that we were told. So we just arrived here on the scene. Accident. This is a car accident in Sabo Wifican. Just happened. People just got so they just told us. This is a car incident. There are some people, but then our lady just been rushed to the hospital, and we've been told that she was caught on her head. Yes, please like, comment, and share our broadcast. This is Afric Media. So she's one of the victims. She's one of the victims. She's one of the. One of the victims. The lady is one of the victims.
Some residents and passengers of Riverview County expressing some dissatisfaction after a road accident. Tensions are rising within Siwa Kajwa communities in Sino County as residents express growing concerns about the implementation and transparency of the Memorandum of Understanding signed between Debt Locking Company Liberia Limited and the local communities. The Debt Locking, a Liberian-owned enterprise, is generally welcome for its national ownership. Citizens are increasingly alarmed over the individuals appointed to represent community interest in the agreement's execution. Some of the residents argue that that's the inclusion of former community leaders who they claim failed them under the previous logging concession is troubling for them. In an interview with King's News, several residents reflected on their experiences during the operations of Madra Locking Company, which held a concession in the region for several years. According to the residents, many promises outlined in the MOU has not been fulfilled, particularly critical development projects, largely due to what they describe as ineffective leadership within the community forest and management of community assembly. We'll bring you that asset in our subsequent newscast. We'll take a very short break. When we come back, we make a day on this presentation. Thanks for rejoining us. What if you just joined us? A reminder, you're listening to King's News Broom, the 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Stories we following this evening. Much publicized July 17 protest gets more endorsement as concerned civil society organizations declare support. Accuse the government of Liberia of mismanagement of public resources and organized corruption schemes. Over 35,000 villages in Grand Cape County accused B Mountain Mining Company of willfully contaminating the Martha River with mercury and other harmful chemicals. The lawyer, Councillor Arthur Johnson, demands 100 million United States dollars in damages. U.S. government stores 1.8 billion agreement signed between Liberian government and Ivanhoe Atlantic describes it as a significant milestone for economic development and infrastructure expansion. And away from Liberia, at least 10 people have been killed in protest, according to a state-run human rights body, the latest in a wave of anti-government rallies that began last year. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that countries which side with the policies of brass alliance that go against U.S. interests will be hit with an extra 10% tariff. Now, there are those folks, this I would like to go home on this edition, but before we go home, let's bring you our international developments. At least 10 people have been killed in protests, according to state-run human rights body, the latest in a wave of anti-government rallies that began last year. Police opened fire on demonstrators and earlier on Dr. Aaron Sikuku, a medic at Eco Nursing Home in Kangimi, on the outskirts of Nairobi told the BBC that two bodies had been taken to the facility and had died from the gunshot wounds. He said hundreds of protesters had gathered outside his hospital demanding to take away the bodies. These demonstrators marked the 35th anniversary of the historic Saba Saba protest of 7 July 1990, which launched Kenya's push for multi-party democracy. US President Donald Trump has warned that countries which side with the policies of brass alliance that go against US interests will be hit with an extra 10% tariff. Any country that's aligning themselves in the anti-American policies of brass will be charged that's additional 10% tariff. There will be no exceptions to this policy, Trump wrote on social media. Trump has long criticized BRICS, an organization whose members include China, Russia, and India. The U.S. had set a 9 July deadline for countries to agree to a trade deal, but U.S. officials now say tariffs will begin on 1st August. Trump said he will send letters to countries telling them what the tariff rate, the tariff rate will be in an agreement if an agreement is not reached. On that notice, I would like to go home on this edition of King's News from the 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. But just before we go home, let's remind you of stories that follow. Much publicized July 17 protest gets more endorsement as concerned civil society organizations declare support, accuse the government of Liberia of mismanagement of public resources and organized corruption schemes. Over 35,000 villages in Grand Cape County accuse B Mountain Mining Company of willfully contaminating the Marfa River with mercury and other harmful chemicals. The local lead councillor Arthur Johnson demand 100 million United States dollars in damages. U.S. government installs 1.8 billion agreement signed between the Liberian government and Ivanhoe Atlantic, described it as a significant milestone for economic development and infrastructure expansion. Away from Liberia, at least 10 people have been killed in protests, according to a state-run human rights body, the latest in a wave of anti-government rallies that began last year. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that countries which side with the policies of brass alliance that go against U.S. interests will be hit with an extra 10% tariff. On that notice, I would like to go home this evening on this edition of the program. Stephen Compton was here with the news bulletin, while Sam Andrews sat at controls and coordinated the sound. We'd like to say many thanks to all of our reporters, correspondents, news editors who have been making this package. Our sources, my name is Nito Tuka. Have a set of pleasant good evening. Bye bye.